Om Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Majamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Ishwaro Guratmeti Murti Veda Vibhagine Vyomabda Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Sarvavedanta Siddhanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Satguru Pranatoshmaham Om Shanti 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 Om. Namaste. We begin page 1662, verse 13. O Arjuna, having taken to a Satvic nature yourself, and knowing and having known that I am God, the imperishable, causeless cause of all beings in the universe. The noble soul, such as yourself, on the other hand, lives to worship and know my true nature, the nature of God. And they need to have a very, very focused, undistracted mind. So that's how it begins today. We looked a little bit into it yesterday. Before he was pointing out the nature of the samsaris, the ones without intellects, deprived of viveka, undiscriminating people, all because they don't have good spiritual punya, they don't have good work fructifying with as a qualified person, a spiritual religious person with the inclination to know God. So they have done their work over several births, and sooner or later they are born in a proper atmosphere where he meets the scripture and the guru. So, as we know, it's very difficult to become a genuinely spiritual person, not this new age, circus that we see around the world, but genuinely religious spiritual person, unless we have those vasanas to begin with from previous births, no? And Arjuna is such an example. We are also such examples, no? Because we have more sattva guna working for us, more clarity, more purity. Because to understand how deceiving this projection is, in the sense that we look at the world, we feel attracted to the world. Hey, Sylvia's back with us. We look at the world, we feel attracted by the things of this world, and somehow it requires enormous vasana, which is going to direct us, let's say, inwardly, or Godwardly, In the West, we hear, let's go inward. So Vedanta says, let's go towards God, towards understanding the nature of the Creator Saguna, so that we can understand the nature of Nirguna Brahman. So it's not common. It's not common. It requires several births already building into vasanas, into that direction. So we're born in a good culture, I mean to say, in an okay country, with family members that somehow are fundamentally good people. They have religious values, or if they don't have religious values because they're struggling to survive, at least they are fundamentally good people. So, and that's what brought Arjuna right there before Lord Krishna because of his punya, spiritual religious punya. Yeah? So one needs to have more sattva guna, a sattvika nature. So it is compulsory, more clarity. You don't need to be a genius. So we know that. So you don't need to be a high IQ person. You need to be a pure person with a pure heart and an introspective mind and okay mind, an intelligent mind, but it's not a super intelligent mind. The main thing here is to turn towards the self, via God, or sometimes directly towards the search of the true nature of the mind, the ego, and so on. Who am I? As Ramana Maharaj used to suggest. So the person is a dharmic person, living a dharmic life, born in a dharmic family. All of that is said to be punya, sometimes referred to as the grace of Ishvara. So what is the grace of Ishvara? So even the grace of Ishvara is a byproduct of the individual soul effort. You understand? Because you need to really put up an effort to swim against these currents. What is the current? Current or currents? Current. It's just a very strong current or currents. Please tell me, resolve this doubt. The river has what?
Current.
Current.
A current. Yeah.
To swim against the current of Maya, avidya, everybody going for sensory pleasures and objects, materialism, and artha kama. So to look into that and say, oh, no, I'm not going to go that way. Some people do that. I know the story of Sylvia. She did that when she was very young. I did that a little bit later when I threw my profession to become a spiritual seeker. Yeah. Somehow it does not happen by itself. We can say it's the grace of Shwara, but there is no free lunch. Grace does not fall by accident. It's all related to our efforts after all. And therefore, someone is born with more sattva guna, a mind which is dominated by more sattva guna. But what kind of sattva? This one, a kind of spiritual, religious, introspective sattva guna, because there are a lot of people with a lot of sattva, clarity of mind and intelligence and high IQ, but they are direct to the world of phenomenal object. Yeah? That makes the entire difference. And then the person is going to develop more and more discrimination, viveka, which is viveka, the discrimination between that which is real from that which is unreal, that which is absolutely the same, never subject to change from everything that changes. Here is presented as that which is permanent from that which is impermanent. So you have to have a lot of credit, karmic credit on your account to be born with that suspiciousness that say, I don't think this is going to make me happy. Because everything is perishable. Everything is just a flux of change without not providing any sense of peace, love, security, and so on. So it does not take one full lifetime. If we lead a religious life, a religiously alert life, it's we're gonna get there sooner or later. Every experience in my life is an opportunity to learn a valid lesson. And what we mean by a valid lesson? The fundamental lesson is something that I wrote in my first attempt to build a website around Vedanta, in which I was presenting, describing that if you believe that anything of this world is going to solve your problem, this place is not for you. So you need to be totally disillusioned with anything that life, world, samsara may provide us, because it will never deliver it. So such as what? Seeking security from a world which is absolutely insecure. Seeking love for a world in which everybody is lacking love. Seeking fullness and completion, or satisfaction and peace in a world deprived of all those things. I should indeed seek peace of mind, but not coming from people, place, things, and circumstance. But this peace of mind, it emerges, it grows to the degree that I turn to God and I begin to understand God's nature, God's saguna/nirguna nature. This brings about spiritual wisdom, which comes with a viveka, a discrimination between the real and the unreal. So that is the development of people who were born with good karma due to efforts in previous births. Therefore, Krishna says, Mahatmanaha. So they are the greatest people who have got viveka. Because of what? Diving prakirtimashritaha. Okay, so if anybody wants to attempt to tell me what it is, my understanding is that they were born with a mind dominated by more sattva guna rather than rajaguna and tamoguna. So they don't have much, they don't much kamya karmas. They don't do actions for pleasures. They don't do much actions for security. They are less. They don't do much sakama actions, but they do mostly niskama actions. They do more niskama actions because the goal is to understand God and live according to God's laws and principles in harmony. If we don't live in harmony with God's laws and principles, we're gonna experience a disturbed mind. It's unavoidable. Anywhere we go, if we go in a small place, a small community, you have to understand the rules there so that you can fit in and live without conflict. So now we appear here in this meteor world, and we need to understand the laws of principle referred to as Dharma laws, so that we can live in harmony with God's laws and everything else in here. So a life conducive to this kind of tendencies, attitudes, words, and deeds will purify the mind. And that will bring more purification. in one's lifetime. They have understood that the nature of God is the ultimate only solution, only refuge, and ultimate shelter, the only safe ground, man jannatva. I don't even try to translate because even if I translate, I don't hold the memory of these things. So what we get here is that as we know, the only source of peace, security, satisfaction, and wisdom we find within our association with God. And what it means, association with God? It means through the scriptures we associate with God because by understanding properly this relationship, and I, the creature, and God, the creator, I will live in harmony, in conformity with the laws and principles of creation, of nature, and so on. And I will develop a pacified health mind. Once I have a pacified health mind, and then the Upanishads are going to begin making sense to us, okay? Because we have a certain development by understanding the nature of Saguna Ishvara. So when we say take ultimate refuge in Ishvara, it's not going to here and there, it's just association with the scriptures, association with the scriptures that reveal the relationship between Jiva and Jiva's creator, Ishvara. So understanding is everything. That means understanding Ishvara, and that means the only way by which we can purify and find peace. Peace. Therefore, association with Ishvara is the ultimate shelter. It's not that we have to find Ishvara somewhere and say, oh, you live in a cave here, let me stay here with you. No. There's no question of time, space. It's just association with the knowledge in respect to God and God's laws and principles. And then later on, the same Ishvara is revealing to us the scriptures on its very nirguna, true nature as nirguna Atma. Everything comes through Ishvara, okay? Ishvara, the creator, reveals the Upanishads to us. In the beginning, it says, you first better try to understand my Saguna nature. Once you properly understood and once you properly live in accordance with your understanding and knowledge, otherwise you're going to feel like, oh my God, it's schizophrenia, schizophrenia, something like that. My knowledge is one thing, but my life, I'm always fighting and complaining about Ishvara. Once we understand Saguna Ishvara, the very same Ishvara at the very end of the Vedas reveal the Veda Anta, the statements or declarations of the nature of Saguna Ishvara as Nirguna, Brahman, Nirguna Ishvara. And why it's so important, as I say it again and again, is because only then the Jiva may take the declarations of identity that says the Atma of the Jiva is identical to the Atma of Ishvara, which is identical to the Atma of Paramatma of Brahman. And then the Jiva, understanding that after having been close relationship, intimate relationship with the Creator, is going to be safe from beginning an ego trip and the famous enlightenment sickness. Therefore, Ishvara is the ultimate shelter, which is going to take us to dependence on Ishvara, and later on, dependence on Brahman, which is identical to independence or dependence on the self. So Krishna, speaking in behalf of Brahman, says, I am the ultimate cause of all beings. Ultimate cause, as we know, is a cause that was not caused by anything. Because if it was a cause that was caused by something previously, and then this Brahman would not be free, self-contained, and independent of the law of causality. It would be dependent on another cause. Oh no, the universe, everything must be caused. Now, God the Creator, or Nirguna God, the true nature, the God of Creator, is a causeless cause. Okay? A cause which was never caused by any other principle. It is anadihi, beginningless, causeless. You know? This causeless cause is the goal, which is Nirguna Atman, Nirguna Brahman. And there is only one thing in the cosmos within the scope of human experience that is really a causeless cause, and that is Brahman. Large is anattaha, without exhaustion or end. It is anadi, without beginning and without end. So we hear that God is beginningless, therefore there is no question of find a linear starting point, in which now God appears. No. And now we know as well that God is endless, beginningless and endless, which is synonym of infinite, limitless and infinite. Anything other than the Lord, everything is going to be finite. Remember, if we lean on people, place, things, and circumstance, we're going to be living a very, very fragile or dangerous lifestyle because, you lean on people and place and things that are not going to sustain you in the moments of crisis. It's like you get so tired that you forget that you have a cardboard chair in your living room and you go there and you sit down and then you fall and you hurt yourself. Things of this world are exactly like a cardboard chair. You can play with it, use it, use as decoration, but don't depend on it. Don't sit on it. Don't lean on it. Psychologically, we can say, no, I kind of I need support. I need support from some people. I need support uh, from having a house, a job, money. So, but never become a slave of all these things of this material world. Psychologically, we need to develop this freedom, which is the biggest possible test. Because even to declare I'm free from the world because I became a sage, like Mark sometimes says, no, I want to go India to become a sage. So I'm not leaning or depending on anything of this world. Okay. But there is renunciation far more effective, which is psychologically being free from the world while it's still in the world, transacting in the world, be in the world, but not leaning or attaching yourself to anything of this world is the greatest test there is. So intelligent people such as Arjuna and such as ourselves do not do this attachment to things that produce suffering and people just fall and sometimes they break to an extent that they never rise again. No? Unintelligent people, unintelligent people can avoid a lot of unnecessary suffering by turning to God before they crash to the point of almost not being able to recover anymore. So we can see this from the standpoint, as from the angle of our physical health. I was there living such a stressful lifestyle, and then my doctor from Seattle, he says like you need to leave it behind because you're gonna die. So you need to stop it before it's too late. You know? So physically, we need to understand this, the signals and say, no, it's time to stop it because otherwise my body is not going to be able to recover or to find balance again because I pushed it too hard. No? So, but some people are intelligent. They take to a good lifestyle from the standpoint of diet, you know, lifestyle, exercise, and this and that, and most is importantly, cultivating, and developing a health mind, a health emotional body, a health psychology, before it is too late. Most people, they are going to come to the point of crashing to make an assessment, more or less like something that's happening to my brother nowadays because he was pushing, and then I don't know. I think I shared with you guys. I mean, he did some blood work there. He was such a bad condition. My doctor told me, and told him. Now I connect him. I say, so this is your last call. You're gonna have a very, 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 serious terminal disease very soon if you don't turn your life around. Fortunate for my surprise, he started following all suggestions and prescriptions of the doctor I am associated with, and he has turned things around, as it seems. I'm talking to him about these things now because he's going to do another set of blood work to to see the progress he did, which he feels already because he lost weight, a lot of weight, and he gained a lot of energy with the change. No? So here it says very intelligent people do not go to that extreme of suffering. Very intelligent people understand from the beginning that this path is the path of self-destruction. I'm not going to go there. Understand? I don't want to go that way. And then these people turn toward God uh, to understand this relationship so that I can have a good mind, pacified mind, Satvic mind, contemplative mind, discriminating mind, and so on. And why it's relevant, this one Swamiji is presenting to us, because he's taking us back to the chapter 2 and 3, in which Arjuna was anticipating the death of people he loved the most, He was imagining the deaths of Bhishma and Drona, among others, and that was causing already tremendous suffering in the heart of Arjuna. So he did not wait for the fight to begin and then see Bhishma and Drona being killed to suffer. He just projected, he anticipated it, and he just ran the show and said, oh my God, this is going to be the most painful experience of my life, destroying the people that I love the most. So we can imagine I'm going to this direction. There is enormous suffering wait for me years or decades ahead. So therefore, I better do not go all the way there. So like I was visiting my son, as you know, and he was coming with this talk. I mean, he's already 42, 43. He's going to be 44 soon, September. And his philosophy is, no, I'm still 43, 44. I can keep pushing for another 5, 10 years, and then I'm going to need to slow down. And then slowly, I try to bring to his attention that that's not a very good philosophy. He has been pushing so much already. It's better. He makes some corrections now because later on, maybe a little bit too advanced the process of self-destruction. So Arjuna, being intelligent, he just projects, anticipates tremendous pain, and then he wants to become a sannyas, and he wants to leave the battlefield and go to the forest to live in meditation with a certain guru in a gurukula or whatever, So you see, the mind is so, the whole complexity of the Gita is so beautiful, so profound. It's common sense that one being smart and intelligent see the level of destruction and say, no, I'm going to turn to God and become a sannyas. But he had Krishna with him. He say, no, 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 that is not an option for you. But why not? Why not? Why not? Because you are the general. You're supposed to uphold and save Dharma, rescue Dharma, protect Dharma, reestablish Dharma. So it's not for you. Other people, being intelligent like you, would have that option. But because of your sworn Dharma, you cannot do that. And then he said, what? Sworn Dharma? Let other people fight, but I'm not going to do that because there is too much pain waiting for me. It's all about teaching. The Gita is all about the teachings. Most people require a very painful experience, but if you are really intelligent, like Arjuna, you begin what? Projecting, anticipating, foreseeing, a lot of pain ahead. Yeah, and you begin even experiencing the pain, the suffering, and so on in anticipation as a projection. So if I go here, if I go there, so we learn to lean on the Lord, therefore. Bhajanti means they start seeking the nature of God and the spiritual religious journey begins, therefore. And how one goes about doing that with a very, very focused mind, a mind without much distractions. Now, a mind that, oh, but there is something here, oh, there is something here, oh, there is some other, there is some hope here, some. No, I understood the fundamental problem and the fundamental solution is to live in harmony with the nature of Saguna God, because that is going to purify my body mind so that I can understand the final declarations of the Upanishads. I have a student in Portuguese language that wrote me again today. She's a psychologist. I like her. I met her once. I met her husband and her children. Is somebody beautiful in this, not physically, but energetically, There is something, nice about that young lady. And but I did not know much more. She disappeared from my class, and then she started writing to me saying that she was believing that she was almost enlightened, but now she's suffering so much. And then she started opening up more and more to me. And now I get a letter in which she says more openly that she is psychologically full of problems, and she's a psychologist, panic attack and anxieties and collapse. And then she said that she has even problem of autism. So, and then see what I'm doing with Vedanta, because I think I'm using Vedanta to escape my condition, my reality. That's where I stand right now. And I keep going to your class, and then I start feeling that, yes, I am Brahman, I am free, and I feel high, but then I crash again and again. And she's asking some questions that that put me in a difficult spot because the last thing that a teacher wants to do is discourage someone from moving forward with healing and developing better, more pure, qualified body mind to be able to get more benefits from Vedanta. No? So some people, no, they have this tendency, in spite of the condition, they find themselves condition of the body mind. Vedanta says it's okay if you're not really qualified for uh, the Yin Yoga or the Shwara Nirguna Brahman teachings. So just stay with Karma Dharma Upasana, but never move away from disassociation with God, disassociation with the scriptures revealed by God, disassociation with the Guru. Stay that path. Don't try to find some shortcuts here and there. This person was telling me, so maybe I'm using Vedanta to escape from my pain. Maybe I'm just deluded here and I should stop doing that. I told the person I'm going to address her long letter and on Sunday. She was going to be present on Sunday. And there is no question of trying to even think about what I'm going to say. I just have to be there and allow Ishwara to say whatever comes. Always with the goal of inspiring and encourage people not to give up. I told her once, what do you want to do with your life? You don't like suffering, but you experience suffering. And then I asked her, did you consider it commit suicide? And she looked at me and said, no. I said, of course not. So you have family, a husband, children. So that is out of question, right? She said, of course, I'm not going to commit suicide. I said, then what is the other option? Is to do the good work, you know? Do the good work, be a kami yogi, you know? So here it says, the search, the journey has to be with the least possible distractions so that the intellect can purify in a faster, uh, how you say, in a faster pace. So we are Grihastha people, yeah? We live in the Grihastha ashram. It's so beautiful because according to the Vedas, every stage of our life, every lifestyle is kind of an ashram because we are here to learn about the nature of God and to grow and be free, yeah, to the degree that we learn the lessons which within this relationship. So we are young people, we are students, we're infants, and then we become householders. We're going to go through even retirement later on, Vanaprastha ashrama. But all these ashramas, and our scripture is so beautiful that they call it ashrams, It's a temple, it's an opportunity, it's a school in which you learn about God and the Spirit. Even married life is said to be an ashrama. You don't need to become a sannyasa ashrama stage. You don't need to go to the forest because the purpose here is not the external change. You want to provide, to promote, to produce the internal change. So your intellect should be benefit. It's internal. Artha is incidental. Karma is incidental. Dharma and moksha are the primary goals of anyone with enough intelligence living, with these vasanas direct the person towards the understanding of the nature of God, and later on as my very nature as nirguna atma. So everybody has a desire for karma, artha and kama, security and sensory pleasures and satisfactions. Dharma is a good goal. It's important. It's fundamental. Once you become a religious, spiritual person, your goal now is mostly to observe Dharma, to live in harmony with the laws, because you understood if you don't live in conformity with the laws of creation, you're going to suffer and you're going to make people around you suffer as well. So, incidental is the pursuit of security and pleasures. The pursuit of Dharma is at our reach once we become a religious, spiritual person. And through the pursuit of Dharma, we purify. When we see we are in contact with the scriptures on moksha, and we understand this is the ultimate goal, the understanding of the nature of the Guneshwara. Therefore, artha kama are incidentally fulfilled. They do not forget, they do not neglect. This is a stage in life we need to earn, unless you were born as a sannyas, you just leave it all behind. Therefore, ananyamanasaha is called avyabhikarini bhakti. Can you say something about this passage? One of you too?
I think Ananya Manasaha is about that focus, one-pointedness toward the goal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And steady, just never failing.
Yeah.
Just
undistracted, as he put.
Yeah.
And then he said, this is also called avyabhakarini bhakti. So it's a bhakti with a firm resolve, firm resolve. Understood. The fundamental problem is just to lean on people, place, things, and circumstance. The fundamental solution is association with God, the scriptures, so that I can purify, refine, pacify my mind, and naturally I will get in contact with the scriptures on Nirguna Brahman. Therefore, they pursue the Lord. The verse 14 is going to further describe the situation. Constantly praising me, striving with a firm resolve, and surrendering to me with devotion. These ever-steadfast devotees worship me. What do you guys think of this word worship? I heard about that in association with my first guru, because in those days we had to work so hard. We used to work 7 days a week, 10, 12 hours a day. And the trick was never to take that as work, but worship, serving the Lord, which is more or less the concept behind Kama Yoga, serving the Lord, serving the Lord. Of course, in our environment there, we were serving our guru, okay? So, because he wanted us to build communities, so we are just offering our work, yeah? But this is worship. But how you guys see worshiping God? surrendering to God, we understand it more clearly. But worshiping Ishwara, so you guys have any insight?
I just looked up the etymology of the word, where it came from, the Middle English or the Old English, and it was more giving due reverence and respect. So I guess it is knowledge. Without that knowledge of Ishwara, or with that knowledge of Ishwara, that respect flows naturally.
Definitely.
The way I see it is that worship is devotion in action.
Very nice. Simple. Yeah, because in general, we think that worship is just like having a puja room and do a lot of rituals and pujas, and certain sadhanas. And worshiping for what? For what? I mean, we just want to give something back to God. So this worship, it's ever steadfast person worshiping God. It requires tremendous knowledge, as Lynn has put. Unless you really get in contact with this scriptural knowledge and develop the understanding in regards to the nature of God and in which way I relate to Ishwara, I depend on Ishwara, he's the karma pala datum, and I offer my actions from moment to moment with the spirit of reverence, gratitude, love, and so on. So we it's the spirit of Karma Yogi, that offers one's actions, as devotion in action, as Mark said. This is what I have. I'm here. I understood, within the limits of my intellect, I understood your Saguna nature. I know that I'm totally dependent on you. I thought I was totally dependent on the world and the people around me. Now I transfer my dependence to you, and I have great respect, love, appreciation, and reverence. And then one keeps that in mind, value for God that converts one's actions in offerings. And you cannot offer things that God does not like. What God likes and what God does not like. He likes us to act in harmony with creation. So in harmony with laws and principles. But if we violate laws and principles, and then we are getting in trouble. So that's how we worship, constantly praising me. So what it means, remembering, God the Creator, doing everything to us from moment to moment. Now our body functions, the physiological systems, everything is done by Ishwara. Ishwara has this incredible intelligence that produce different airs designed, programmed in such a way that is going to control different systems in our body. It's unbelievable. So we see how grandiose the Creator is, how supreme this intelligence is. And having sensed this supreme intelligence, supreme power, I make a decision to seek and search a deeper and deeper understanding of God's nature and a deeper and deeper resolve to live in harmony with God's nature, Dharma, with a firm resolve. Surrendering to God, as we know, is more like surrendering to whatsoever Parabhada Ishvara presents to us, with a feeling of devotion, a feeling that, yes, this is prasada. This is again an opportunity for me to make corrections in the way I live my life, beginning from attitudes. This requires some people with steadfast resolve, really firm, one-pointedness, valuing God, loving God, serving God, and so on. It's very beautiful. So how do they pursue the goal of Ishvara is pointed out here. They need to have a firm resolve, and as Lynn has said, you cannot have a firm, solid, doubtless resolve unless you have a very clear knowledge in regards to the nature of God, and not with interest and the importance and the value and the power that you gain from understanding and living in conformity with the nature of God. This is a huge resolve that requires a very, very clear and firm knowledge in respect to the nature of God. The resolve is, I want to understand God. I want to attain the nature of Saguna Ishvara, because further on the road, I will be able to qualify to understand the nature of Nirguna Ishvara. So they are Tivra Mumukshatavat. So translation, please.
Desirous of moksha with a strong resolve. I think that's all it is.
So because here he was saying, the resolve is, I want to attain Shwara or I want moksha, So attaining Brahman is synonymous of moksha. And even if we take a firm resolve, often we fail. No, now I go for it. Now I'm going to give everything into it. Now I have a strong value, a strong understanding, a clear understanding. Nothing is going to distract me in life anymore. I want self-knowledge, and for that, I need to be very, very, very sophisticated, pure karma yogi. But this resolve should not be just a superficial resolve, such as New Year resolve. It's very common in the United States, this. And then Swam says it has to be a firm, clear, one-pointed, serious resolve. That's why we have got various vratams. What is vratams, Lynn?
I think it just means spiritual practices.
Okay. In our religion, unlike some other religion, so our practice periodic. It's again and again, not once in a while, not only in the last day of the year. So they have all those religious pujas and rituals and practice. You have so many of those because you need to nourish this resolve again and again, to remind you of the purpose of your life, to remind you of the resolve, of your own resolve. Okay, association with the scriptures, association with God is going to remind us the resolve. Distraction is all around it. It's very easy to be distracted. Therefore, our Vedas talk fundamentally about the primary goal as often as possible, which is called Sachit Sangha, very beautiful association with one's primary goal, association with self-knowledge, with the truth, reality, no? And liberation. And not only association with, satsanga, but association with anybody who has the same mindset, because your friends will impact your mind, will impact your resolve, will impact your determination, because everything impacts everything in Mithya. You understand? If you associate with God, the scriptures, and you make a resolve to do the good work in this lifetime, but at the same time you associate with a lot of money-oriented people, you move with constantly, all the time, combination, even in it will come. So I did not understand this one. If your friends will determine your personality, if a money-oriented man, if you're in constant association with a materialistic, very much money-oriented person, that will also affect your mind. And then materialism may come for you as well. Doubts may come, distractions may come. Therefore, our religious practice are coming to remind you again and again, exactly like we do in satsanga several days a week. We want to talk about this as constantly as possible, reminding us of our ultimate purpose here. Therefore, we need to select our associations, our friends. Very important. Yeah. And I tell you, that's one of the reasons that I prefer to associate with my chicken and not much with human beings. But we need to choose the best possible friends so that we can talk about the Lord, we talk about self-knowledge, we talk about Dharma, and so on. So this is the way we prepare ourselves for the Upanishads. And we see in sports, people, they prepare years after years for the Olympiads that comes every 4 years, and people have to keep exercising, doing, because they want to be successful when the Olympics come. So the same thing is with our spiritual goal, the ultimate purpose of a human birth. We need to prepare. And then once again here, all the preparation comes through the sadhanas, Chatustaya Sampati. And then it says that, in fact, Jnana Yoga is very simple. And I mean, it's not, James used to say it's very simple, but not easy. So Jnana Yoga is the most simple, seen from the angle of a philosophy. All there is consciousness, you are consciousness, and consciousness is free and independent from this world. So it's the easiest thing is Jnana Yoga. The simplest, I prefer to say. Krishna himself said that in the beginning of this chapter. Jnana, self-knowledge, easy, but only if one is properly qualified. If one is not properly qualified, it's not easy, although it's very simple. but taking as just rational information, philosophical information, does not do any good unless the person is qualified that that pointer is going to remain there forever as a pointer, never really pointing to you, but pointing to something out there as Brahman or a beautiful, wonderful state of mind. Therefore, it's very simple Vedanta. The most difficult part of Vedanta, and that's what I'm taking to present to this student of mine in Portuguese, the most difficult part of Vedanta is the development of the qualifications. And when should we start this? Now, wherever I stand, whatsoever my condition, we have to begin. What else to do? How can I give up? Try to give up. No. And the most you are going to just bring down your search. Instead of searching really the ultimate reality, you're going to search a better punya, esotericism, mysticism, and dimensions here and there, and celestial lokas, and all these concepts. But that does not liberate anybody. Qualification is the most difficult part. As we know, a fruit falls suddenly, but the ripening process is gradual. You need to begin by being a karma yogi to develop the qualifications. Upasana is going to further prepare us. Observance of Dharma will make me a moral, ethical person. Everything we do is to prepare only, and that takes some time and takes a lot of effort. And most people do not like to put up effort because he heard Aham Brahmasmi, and they like to just believe that that's all they need to know. But without proper preparation, that does not fructify as a sense of freedom from the world while staying in the world. Right? Okay. We meet again next Monday, Shwara willing. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shwara. Namaste. Until next Monday.
Thank you, Orlando.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Arlinda. It's been great this week having 4 satsangs.
Yeah, it's nice. If I have time and energy, I will keep suggesting it and check with you.
Great. Great. Thank you.